we'll be diving right into our newspaper review, and first off, we'll be starting with Daily Trust. Right in front, Labour rallies against insecurity, and that is continued on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust. At the top left, 2023, how Cabal plotted Lawan's installation as APC candidate. That's on page 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper if you want more. Why CBN revoked licenses of ASU Savings and Union Homes. That's on page 20 of the Daily Trust. Reps weighed into detention of NAF aircraft military personnel. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust. At the bottom, ICPC to probe Dangote's allegations against NMDPRA boss. That's on page 5 if you want more detail. Former CJN Tanko takes final bow. That's on page 24 of the Daily Trust. Woman jailed 10 years for killing stepdaughter. That's on page 17. NBA police disagree over enforcement of tinted glass permit. That's on page 6 if you want more, and that's all we can take on the Daily Trust newspaper. Next up, we have the Punch newspaper right in front. Right in front, police deploy special forces ahead of NLC protest today. Now, at the top left, we have federal government recorded 30 trillion naira revenue shortfall in 2025, says Edun. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Federal government to acquire 24 fighter jets for 1.2 billion euros. That's on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. United States adds Nigeria to travel restriction list. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. At the bottom, we have 2027 ADC state chairman lock horns over Congress. That's on page 14. We have massive arms cache uncovered in Kogi. That's on page 14 as well. Transcorp Hotels appoint Awele Elumelu as board chair. That's on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. We have blackout looms as gas shortfall hits power stations. That's on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. 154 billion naira student loans disbursed in 19 months, says Nelfund. That's on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, next up we have the Guardian newspaper. Anxiety, mistrust, cloud Nigerians tax reform promises benefits, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper if you want more on that story. Downstream sector wumbles as corruption allegations escalate regulatory battle, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Trump places Nigeria, 14 others on partial restrictions to US, and that's on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Gas issues, 6 trillion naira debt cripple power generation as discos record lower load profiles, and that's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Elumelu to chair Transcorp Hotels board, and that's on page 18 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have NHRC laments 422,942 abductions, sexual violence, others in November. That's on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And NBA kicks against tinted glass enforcement, warns against extortion, and that's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. If you want more, do well to grab yourself a copy to stay informed.
Now joining us to review some of the headlines on the pages of today's newspaper is former Director News, Voice of Nigeria, Ben Shamang. Good morning and thank you for joining us, Mr. Ben Shamang.
Thank you for having me, and good morning.
Absolutely. All right, let's start with Daily Trust. Right in front, we have Labour rallies against insecurity. Now, we've seen that the Nigeria Labour Congress has already kickstarted the protest this morning. So, do you think that this protest will yield any kind of result or reaction from the federal government so far?
Well, in terms of the result, NLC is simply trying to call attention to the fact that there is insecurity in the country, which obviously every Nigerian knows. And as to whether there will be a reaction from the presidency, In fact, last night around 11:30, the president, Buhari, had to meet with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress. It ran into late night, early morning, and the president appealed. Look, it's really not about as if government is not taking any action. Government is trying, but security is for everybody. And of course, there's always the fear that some miscreants will just join the ranks of labor that might mean something well to bring to the front burner the insecurity in the country. But some miscreants can just chip in and begin to cause mayhem. So as per the intention of the NLC, yes, it is good. As for the president also calling them to talk with them, it also means there is a good intention. Government is responding to that. But the end result, all that Nigerians want is to see that there is an end to this crisis. And to add to that, I've seen that some northern leaders are now calling on Christian Association of Nigeria in the north, Jamaatul Nasir Islam in the north, and many other stakeholders that they should go and discuss the differences that there are in the north to ensure that there is security.
ICPC to probe Dangote's allegations against NMDPRA boss. We have seen the drama going on between the NMDPRA boss and Dangote, and just recently Dangote petitioned the ICPC seeking the arrest and also investigation and prosecution of Farouk over alleged corruption and abuse of office. Now, this is not the first time we're seeing an issue like this. I remembered when the issue came up with Otedola and Ahmed Lawan then concerning allegations and corruptions in the oil and gas sector. So what is your take on this?
Very, very coincidental. We used to have Ahmed Lawan Farouk. Now we're having Farouk Ahmed. That of Farouk Lawan, House of Reps, a lawmaker, had to do with Otedola oil magnate. We are seeing engineer Ahmed Farouk today with another oil magnate, Dangote. And I can see that some people are already trying to chew onions in their mouths on behalf of the downstream and midstream boss. That it's not so, that after all, this thing has taken a long time. Why is Dangote bringing it today? You see, corruption cases can be woken up anytime. After all, we've seen that Chris Ngige is appearing. We are seeing that former Minister of Justice is appearing. So, in terms of a sting operation, I think that Dangote probably, I'm saying probably, has some stuff to show because of the evidence is given to the public. Some people then came out to say that the chief executive officer of the Petroleum Regulatory Agency is innocent. It's good a thing that he has even come out to debunk that he didn't send all those people. And we're seeing the House of Reps trying to discuss with them. We've seen the presidency trying to discuss with the two parties. We have also seen that the DSS have also met with them. But Dangote is simply saying, let us begin to look at when a regulator is beginning to pay $7 million to pay for students who are in primary and secondary school in Switzerland, when Nigerians are suffering. He's a northerner, and you can imagine how the out-of-school syndrome in the north. These are things that ought to be taken care of. Remember, the Accountant General of the Federation, who is alleged to have taken how much our own money, and in the end, he was using that money to feed lions and crocodiles. So you can imagine the misplaced priorities when northern Nigeria is crying. We need education, we need health, we need security, and all that stuff. So let us look it up in the courts and the ICPC.
All right. Now let's look at this headline. The Nigerian Bar Association and the police disagree over reinforcement of tinted glass permit. Now we know that the NBA has taken this particular enforcement of tinted glass permit to court, and it was suspended. But the police are saying they have every right to turn this enforcement of tinted glass back. So what do you think about it, and how do you think the processes are with discrepancies when it comes to payment as well and other things as well? So what do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, yes. One is worried as to the method of payment. Here you are, you're saying if ever anyone wants to use the tinted glasses, he must get a police permit. So who is saying that the criminal will not go and get that same permit? And again, if there are cars that are simply factory named made, they came with it. How will you want me to get a kind of a permit? Why don't you, right from the word of the time of importation, you tell makers of these cars, don't bring in cars in Nigeria that are tinted in nature. And the worrying thing is when you have to pay, like the Nigerian Bar Association is alleging, that you're paying to private accounts. And why not the federal government agency or agency account? So that is where there is a problem. One, again, is also worried when you see where there is a traffic jam, the kind of tinted vehicle cars that come in, very exotic cars, and they don't even have identification numbers. We are not looking at those people who are moving without identification numbers. They move with sirens, they spoil people's cars, they don't obey traffic lights. These are people the police should go out for. I've seen a situation where Chinese, I'm saying Chinese, they stopped to take fuel, and where you ought to have identification number, it was written presidency. This car was driven by Chinese. So where are the police in all of these things? These things happen in around Asokoro, a filling station. I mean, my camera, that thing took me by surprise. I needed to film it to show to the world, how can Chinese come here, break this law? You have a number, you have it covered presidency. It's only in Nigeria that we find all of these things. We are not looking at those people. We are just looking at someone who, if it's going to help to overcome kidnapping, okay, why not? But again, the process is, if the court says no, then go and make an appeal. No one is saying that the police should not do their duty. They should do their duties. But why is it that we are in a rush over tinted glass permit when we have bigger issues, kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, violent crimes here and there? I think that the police should rework and rethink.
All right, another headline, CBN revokes licenses of ASO Savings and Union Banks. I mean, this news came as a shock, being that we're having issues when it comes to access to mortgage for affordable housing. I think we only have the Federal Mortgage Bank and the National Housing Fund and other private mortgage banks left for Nigerians to have access to these mortgages. I mean, ASO Savings have been on ground for quite a long number of years, and having this news, it's really not a good one for the housing sector. So what is your take on this?
Honestly, I think that I benefited from this ASO Savings and Loans Limited. I had a DG then, Abubakar Jijiwa, who ensured that staff, workers who got some houses and never had money to pay, there were some soft loans that were given, and these loans, you had to plow it back to government by way of paying. And the same thing when you had the ASO Savings and Loans Limited. You had houses allocated to workers, government workers, and in the end, they said owner occupier, they'll sell to you, and when you sell, the money goes back to ASO Savings and Loans Limited. People received loans there, tied their salaries to them, and from there they were able to pay. Nigerians expected that the money that went to ASO would have been plowed into another system so that some houses will spring up via government. But we got zero. In the end, what we are hearing is that they flouted central government bank operation licenses or modalities or laws. So where is that money gone to? If you said that you cancelled, where is the money? Those that paid, some of us who paid, we expected that those who didn't get houses will also get via what we paid. And so when you just wake up and say a federal government is scrapped this way, even if there's going to be of how to entrench it and make workers benefit from it, go obtain loans, it should be, and not just scattering everything. I think that the CBN should rethink too. It's surprising, and shocking, and disappointing.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben Shamang, for reviewing the front pages of our national dailies this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that is all we have right here on Daybreak. We'll be ending the show, and with that, thank you to all our viewers and our guests as well. I am Hawa Adamikiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Mimana Bagudu. Do what follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news. Have a great day and thank you for watching.